George is with us now. I think we can begin.
I hope now are you hearing me, Nelson?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you everyone. Good evening, and I wish to welcome you to our today's webinar. It's an interesting webinar where we are going to discuss on mental wellness and resilience as we start the new year. I believe this is quite good and important for us, especially those who are in mental health and even other professionals, so that we can be able to care for our own mental health. And to do this, we are going to have Dr. Violet Okech, who is going to give us the presentation. She is quite vast in mental health issues. Dr. is a chief medical specialist, Kenyatta National Hospital. She does psychiatry work, and currently she's the chair of the Andot Psychiatric Clinic in the Department of Mental Health. She has played a key role in mental health services development in Kenya and East Africa as the founding president of the East Africa Young Psychiatry and Trainee Association. She was the first female to be the national vice chair of Kenya Psychiatric Association. She's an expert in gender, HIV, public mental health, and policy. She's a alumni of Johns Hopkins University, USA, and she has done masters in public health and Fulbright Albert and Albright program of the University of Nairobi Medical School. She is a volunteer of Kenya Psychiatric Association ambassador to ADI. She is also a volunteer as the patron of Kenyatta National Hospital Choir and composed their KNH choir flagship song, John Tupoke Unduma. Dr. Okech is passionate about women mental health, mood disorders, dementia care, and the mental health wellness of doctors and medical students, inspiring health care workers to serve with excellence, passion, and professionalism about promoting quality, dignified care for the elderly. She recently pioneered in the Doctor Wellness and Resilience Program at the Department of Mental Health, KNH. So Dr. Okech comes with a lot of experience and a lot of passion in mental health. So allow me to welcome you, Dr. to make the presentation so that you can be able to see and even learn on mental wellness. Karibu, Dr. Okech.
Thank you very much, George, for your kind words of welcome. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you can hear me. May I have some thumbs up? George, can you hear me?
Yes, you are very clear.
Wonderful, you can hear me.
Yes.
Great. Yes. So this is a new year. It's an exciting time of, of the year. We have just begun the year. Let's go to the next slide. So I believe that's how most of us are looking wherever we are on January 1st. Ama, does anyone identify with this slide? How do these people on this slide look?
They look happy.
They look happy, Anyone else? I agree. Is that somebody crying? An emoticon of crying? They're crying with laughter. They look excited, eh? Okay, great. So I believe that's what many of us were feeling at the beginning, like on January 1st. And now we are like week 4 of the new year. So new year, new you, new dreams. Let's see what's up ahead. Next. So a new year is a very exciting time. It's like a brand new page. You can write in it what you want. You can draw on it. You can scribble. You can grab new opportunities. It's also a time to release things that were not good for you last year, to grieve losses and loved ones, and also to reshape and to reimagine your life. And in this challenging sea of life and new taxes every other day. So you as a healthcare worker, how are you and I going to navigate the ups and downs of 2024? let's have a look at how sometimes we feel during the week. The next slide. Let's look at this slide. George, can you see this slide?
Yes, I can see the animals. I'm
So this
starting up.
slide, yeah, George, I'll ask you to be looking at the chat box to see, sometimes it's going to be pretty interactive, and I'm going to be asking people to contribute to the discussion. So I like this slide. It looks at the work week for older guys and the younger guys at work. And then there is me at work. Please, that's not me, but that's me sometimes. So let's look at it. So the older guys at work, what do you notice about them on Monday? I mean, assuming that this horse is representing the older guys at work, on Monday, do they have energy or they have no energy?
Full of energy.
Full of energy. And on Monday, the younger guys at work, how are they? They're full of energy.
No, on Monday, oh no. Monday, they are no energy for younger guys.
And
I thought it would be the opposite.
really, no, because I think something was happening over the weekend. So the older guy, I think the key is what are people doing over the weekend, and then also, the older people they've started off the week with zeal. They're like, yes, this is the week I'm going to do my work and all those things. I'm going to accomplish my deadline, and they're doing it, and they're ready, and everybody's working really hard. By Wednesday, the younger guys have woken up. The older guys now energy inaanza kurudi chini. So the energy is becoming less. On Thursday, okay, a bit down for the older ones. On Thursday, the younger ones are thinking, my goodness, the weekend is coming. On Friday, the older ones are like, hey, me, I'm done. Bye-bye. 5 o'clock itafika saa ngapi? Ama pengine they're even working half day. So they're like, me, I'm off for the weekend. I just need to go and lie down somewhere. But of course, I'm lying. You guys are not like that. So you guys, even those who are 75, 95, 85, you still have energy because you're resilient healthcare workers. Anyway, I thought this cartoon illustrated how, depending on how much energy you have and how well you are, you might find that as you go along the week, you started off with really high energy, but towards the end of the week, if you haven't paced yourself or taken good care of yourself, or it's really been a very busy week and you're feeling overwhelmed, meeting a lot of deadlines, you might find that on Friday, you just want to rest. While for some people, their energy picks up slowly during the week. And on Friday, that's when they are at their peak, which also means we need to understand one another and ask people, how are you today? So I'd written there the work week for Gen Z, X to Z plus M, millennials, and I hear there are others. I don't even know what they are called, but all of us are working. Fine, great. Let's continue. Next. So the WHO defines mental health as a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential to cope with the normal stresses of life. They can work productively and fruitfully, and they're able to make a contribution to his or her community and not merely the absence of disease. And mental health has several components: physical, mental, social, and spiritual. Let's go on to the next slide. So how are you feeling today? Which side are you on? If you look at that slide, there is a smiley face and there is this face which is not so happy. Ebul, please post for us some things on the chat box. How are you feeling today? You can put it as an emoticon or you can put it as a word in terms of your mental being. Okay. George, can you help us? What are we seeing in the chat box? Somebody said happy. Josephine, exhausted. I'm happy and smiling. Sheila is smiling. Benta is tired. Evelyn is, I feel tired. Somebody's being beat, happy. That someone looks surprised, still on, tired. Feeling exalted, blank. Oh, Duke, okay. Tired, in between, tired, exhausted, laughing, exhausted, okay. Tired, empty. Somebody seems to have given really of themselves, tired.
Yeah, John is tired. John is tired. Probably at a very busy day.
Okay, and Jared is also tired.
Yes.
Okay, so we're seeing a whole range of emotions, isn't it? So today is Thursday. We are almost, to ends of the week. Somebody's feeling void. tired.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm seeing quite a bit of tired, but I'm also seeing happy. So
Yeah.
let's go on. Thank you for sharing how you're feeling. And it's
Mm.
important for us to ask ourselves when you go to work, ask your colleague, how are you? And listen to the answer. And it's also good, it's important for us to have at least one or two people in the place where you work who they can tell you, hey, today, George, you're not looking
Mhm.
yourself, what's up? And, or how may I help you? And then you can be able to have a chat on what you're going through or what you're not going through. Sometimes it's what you're not going through that's disturbing you, and take it from there and get some support. Let's go on to the next slide. So thank you everyone for sharing how you're feeling. We've taken note of them. And they say that there are many things that determine mental health. Generally, the basis of our practice as mental health practitioners says that there's the biopsychosocial model of mental health and disease, which basically talks about your genetics, and also the society or the environment in which you have grown, and then the way you perceive things, the way you interpret things in your psyche and in your mind. Now, this slide is actually looking at the social determinants of mental health. And it has actually been shown that there are certain things that actually negatively or positively impact our mental health or support our mental health. Number one, economic stability. How do you feel when you have some money? Do you feel happy or sad? Enough money for what you want to do.
They say pesa sabuni ya roho.
Pesa ni sabuni ya roho, eh?
Yes.
I so totally agree. So the fact that we have a number, the government is asking us, well, shall I put it, is asking us politely to contribute more towards health, and our pay slips are growing slimmer, responsibilities are the same. Unaona sabuni inapungua ama inaongezeka?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm saying, so economic stability, it's nice to have enough, or enough and even surplus to share with others. And sometimes we go through tough times, or we go through changes which need for us to adapt to them, alter, avoid, or accept, so that we can continue functioning well. Isn't that so, George?
Very true, very true.
Yes, so other social determinants of mental health are your social or community context. In fact, if you look at studies of what they call blue zones, where people live up to 100 and beyond, the social and community context is so important in terms of people who live, who age with good health, usually have a social community around them, a social support system. They have a couple of friends with whom they can be themselves, with whom they do fun things. They are plugged into their families, they are plugged into their community, and that helps them to remain mentally well. The other thing is, of course, your neighborhood and environment, your access to healthcare, availability of healthcare, and also education. And then as healthcare workers, we are in a very we hold a special place in society in terms of meeting people when they are at some of their most vulnerable moments, and also being entrusted with people's deepest secrets and most intimate, shall I say, body parts. And because of that, I think it also predisposes us to sometimes getting burnt out and tired, like some of our colleagues and friends have posted here, and also at times, being triggered by things that we see, and also many times also feeling very, very happy and satisfied that we are actually making a difference in other people's lives. So I just wanted to point out about this social determinants of mental health. Let's go on to the next slide.
But as we move on, Shira is saying sabuni imeisha povu kabisa, haina povu.
Yeah, man. So ni kweli, let's pray sabuni itapata povu tena, si ndio?
Asante.
Asante. Thanks, Sheila. Thanks, George. Yeah, let's go on, please, to the next slide, Nelson. So if you look at this slide, it's basically saying that our environments cultivate our communities, and our communities nurture our health. When you have communities where we have adverse living conditions, there's poverty, there's segregation, there's poor quality schooling, there's occupational hazards, there's institutional racism, there is tribalism, there's discrimination, unemployment, environmental toxins, and free access to drugs, psychoactive drugs, then you end up with more of mental health issues such as depression, substance use, violence, smoking, infant mortality. You also end up with lifestyle diseases which impact our mental health, such as obesity, heart disease, stress, and other things. So basically what this slide is saying is that our community and our environment are important and they impact our mental health. Let's go to the next slide. I'd like us to look, as we go to the next slide, at some of the core issues that surround identity as healthcare workers. Ask yourself, who are you? What role do you play in your family and as in the community as a healthcare worker? Do people look up to you as a healthcare worker? Yes or no?
Let's hear from them.
Yeah, let's hear some responses. Do people look up to you in the community and as your family? Yes. Anne says yes, yes. Kiprotich says yes. Stephen says yes. Roger, yes.
Yes.
Yes, you will get CPD points for this presentation, yes. Yes. Yes, quite often. And if anybody falls sick in the village even, we are now not even talking about your nuclear family. See, they call your mom and then your mom calls you.
Exactly.
Yes, yes, and therefore you are a very, very important, we play very important roles in the community. Yes, 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 wonderful. Healthcare workers, amazing. And our identity is a high status identity in the community. Many times we are called daktari as long as you're wearing a white lab coat. And if you're a woman like me, many times they will call you sister. Nowadays, nimelewa. Those are respectful terms. And most of the times for people who went into the health field, we are caring, we are passionate, we are other-oriented. Yeah, Shuaib says, Mahmoud Yaro says, yeah, I really play a great role to my community. Congratulations, well done. Nyinyi ni mashujaa nyote. Yes, you are all heroes, dear healthcare workers. So, and we have unique opportunities and challenges of our jobs. But one of the things that can also impact our healthcare is how well we are working as part of healing teams. I've already mentioned that we meet people who, when they are their most vulnerable, we handle life and death situations, and we can experience transference and burnout. And maintaining our own wellness is key to showing up as the best version of ourselves for our patients and their family, and even our own families, isn't it? Yeah. So, George, would you kindly just explain to us? I'm sorry to ambush you, but explain to us what transference is.
Transference is where you see someone as a significant other, probably someone who is kind of identifying with a relative or a family member, and you react to them like that person.
Yes. Has that ever happened to you people? You see somebody, maybe you're treating somebody who looks like your dad or your mom or your cousin or aunt or wife or husband. Yeah. And then, or you've had a bad, let's say, relationship experience, and let's say at that season of your life, you don't like seeing men or women, so a male patient comes in front of you like, these men. So that's why it's important for us to be self-aware about what's going on, about what we are experiencing, so that we are able to function at our optimum, and also know when to take a break. Let's go on to the next slide. So we have confirmed that we are people who are really valued in the community, and we play a really, really key role in promoting good physical and mental health. And we are part of healing teams, and we are also human beings as healthcare workers. Let's go on to the next slide, please, Nelson. Now, local studies indicate that 1 out of 4 people attending outpatient health services have an undiagnosed mental health disorder. This was a study done by Otieno Ndetei et al., and it has been, I think, repeated in the more recent past, and the figures are about the same. Now, the most commonly undiagnosed mental health disorders are depression, MDDs, major depressive disorder, and anxiety. As healthcare workers, we are not spared. That also means that if you are in a group of about 10, 1 or 2 of either yourself or your friends at some point or other might be experiencing excessive anxiety or excessive low mood or mood swings that are impacting their ability to cope with work, their ability to interact with their family and friends, and their ability to achieve their goals. Now, so what are these factors that affect us as healthcare workers? Because we are human beings, we live in a society, we don't live in a bubble, isn't it? And we are affected by external and internal factors. What are some of those things that stress us as healthcare workers? This is an interactive session. Please share, put it up in the chat and we'll share with the others. What are some factors that stress us as healthcare workers? No one is stressed yet?
Let's see what they are saying in the chat box.
Somebody's talking about being overworked, shortage of
Long-
health
long
personnel.
yes,
Salim.
Long working hours, yes, for Moses, long working hours, overload, stress, lack of equipment is also another factor. Big number of patients, rogue patient. I remember even there are patients who beat healthcare workers. Treatment failures, lack of personnel, being overworked, quite a number of factors.
Yes, competing tasks, poor working environment, workload, yeah.
Na pesa pia ni kidogo, poor pay for some.
Yes, I hear you. And then somebody has also said here something about being family members and the community, death of a patient, lack of staff welfare, poor patient outcome despite efforts, because we are here to save lives, isn't it?
And again,
and sometimes if you don't have the
death of patient,
Yes.
yes, how many think death of patient, when you take care of patient and they finally die, yes, stressing.
I'm also seeing Lorena talking about black tax transfers that is requested, lack of shortage of resources. There's a question there that Nelson will answer later from Kefa, pesa kidogo. Yeah, I'm hoping that if you're in a position of, you own a hospital or, a healthcare facility that, you would consider, sharing more of the profits with the people who are working with you. Lack of support from seniors and mentors, misunderstanding between healthcare workers, no motivation, leadership.
Yeah, no motivation. Breaking bad news, someone also mentioned that. It's very difficult for healthcare workers. Breaking the bad.
It is. No promotions, burnout. Okay. Quite a number. Lack of growth in the job environment. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. These are very, very useful because these are also going to inform policy and practice, what you're sharing. And I'd written increased taxes, slimmer pay slip with goods and services becoming more costly, having to, downgrade our lifestyle, adjusting to new ways of doing things, inadequate support systems. Now, so I think the takeaway from this is that everyone experiences some stress at some point, isn't it? Now, in psychology, we say there are 4 ways of dealing with stress. There are 4 A's. You either accept. There's also allowed language barrier and security. Thank you for sharing. You either accept whatever is stressing you. You adapt to it, you avoid it, or you alter either the situation or you alter the way you're reacting to that situation yourself. Now, out of these things that you have posted here, do you realize that some of them are within your control and some are outside of your control? Can you control what kind of patient is going to walk through the door into your facility?
We can't determine that. It's impossible.
You can't, is it? Yeah. But in your facility, you can put up notices like I saw at one of the facilities. I was standing at the pharmacy and there was a notice there that said, a little courtesy wouldn't hurt. As in, please be courteous to the healthcare workers, be kind to them, and we have a no harassment policy for our healthcare workers. So as healthcare workers, even as we serve, we also, the environments in which we serve, the things that we can do to make our environment safe and also uphold the rule of law and the rule of our own protection is so important. Okay, I'm saying here social expectations, that you know, we are high up on the tax ladder, unequal in treatment by employer, promotions. So there are things that you can actually speak about and speak out, like to your welfare, you know, your employee assistance program, or to your HR, and, you know, say politely, I've been working here for the last 5 years. And yeah, surely, isn't there a promotion policy? Isn't there a career, you know, progression? And that's something we have had to, you know, work on, for example, on some of our cadres, wherever we work also. So we are saying that stress is a normal part of life, but it's important to find healthy coping mechanisms. And then also that we are all part of teams. I think one of the things that was most stressful for me as a young doctor when I first graduated as a medical officer intern was you've gone through this really grueling medical school, and then you finally graduate, you have the first DR in front of my name, Dr. Violet Okech, and I'm thinking, where I am the boss. I went to the ward and discovered that for that treatment goal to work, I need to be under everybody else who came there before me, isn't it? The consultants, the nurses, you know, the other, I need to learn how to talk to my colleagues in lab, to talk to colleagues who are keeping the area clean, all of those, the tea lady, where I discovered it's not about me, it's about teamwork, isn't it? And in your team, you need to ask yourself whether you're an asset or a liability. Or maybe you're stretching yourself too much, okay? And you need to step back a bit so that you're not tired all the time. Or if you are being overloaded in one way or another, find a way of negotiating with the people around you so that you spread out the work a little bit more evenly, and also organize for both mini breaks and breaks for yourself. Let's go on to the next slide. Thank you for your contributions. George, wow, we have 543 people on board. Mental health is popular. Yay, thank you for coming on, everyone.
Welcome everybody. Yes, quite a big, huge number. Karibuni.
It's wonderful. Yeah, great. Let's go on to the next slide, please, Nelson. So this is also an interactive slide. So healthcare workers and mental health. What are the factors in mental health? We talk about the 4 Ps in relation to factors that either predispose, precipitate, perpetuate, or protect people from mental health disorders. So let's brainstorm. What are some factors that predispose us as mental health care workers to, you know, to excessive stress?
So let's hear from them.
Yes.
I'm saying let's hear from them if they can give us some answers.
Work overload. Okay, yes, Joyce, thank you. So we're talking about predisposing factors.
That make us vulnerable. Burnout, yes.
Poor environment. Burnout and lack of motivation, indecisiveness. Thanks. Intrinsic, okay. Poor remuneration, okay. Low salary. The nature of the job, the workload, and I think also the expectations, high stress, long working hours, poor pay. So we are seeing here that there are things mostly from outside of our control, the things around us and our working environment. Somebody also said a harsh boss, biological factors, family disintegration. Yeah, by the way, I was once talking to somebody who was an anesthetist, and they were saying that female anesthetists find it difficult to keep their marriages. Please correct me. I'm not in any way discriminating against female anesthetists, but because of the long working hours, the long and unpredictable working hours. And you find that different disciplines, whether it's, I mean, whichever cadre you were, your nurse, your community worker, social worker, doctor, lab personnel, different parts of people who work within the hospital, depending on your working hours and your work-life balance, it can also precipitate mental health issues for yourself and your family. Predispose you, yes, a general attitude that you're weak if you can't handle the poor work environment. Exactly, lack of teamwork, yeah, less social challenges. So those can both precipitate and predispose us to mental health disorders. And they can also perpetuate mental health disorders, especially if you lack good social support and you lack somebody to listen to you, and you don't have the tools or the ability to take good care of yourself and to troubleshoot the problems that's around you. Lack of skills to manage emotions. Okay, yeah, great. In fact, we're going to do a webinar on emotional intelligence and how to improve that. Yeah, discrimination in terms of the called or the chosen few, time of shifts, and then also leaders perhaps lacking emotional intelligence on how to listen actively to the people who are working with them and under them. And so a lot of the things that, thank you so much for sharing, a lot of the things that you've put up are factors that predispose, precipitate, and perpetuate high distress and mental health disorders among healthcare workers. So let's talk about some factors that we will share the notes. Thank you, Esther Maina. So what are some factors that protect us, mental health workers, that can protect us healthcare workers from being overly mentally distressed? Let's share. We are brainstorming.
A webinar like this giving us information.
Okay.
Mhm.
Great. So information webinars like this, good support systems. Great. Thanks, Catherine. Debriefing, teamwork.
Yes. Conducive
Mary, yes.
Motivation, team building, creative activities. Well, yes. Positive attitude. Attitude is also very key. Having a positive
I also
attitude.
saw something about a clear job description. That's so important.
Exactly. Sharing, speaking out. Debriefs, very key. Understanding from our bosses, incentives.
Understanding employers, sharing. Yes, awesome. Okay. Exchange program visits. Availability of equipment. Yeah, being given the tools with which to accomplish your work. Enough sleep. Thanks, Joseph. That is so important. Teamwork. Ronald. Yes. Adequate sleep.
That's very key. Adequate sleep.
Yeah, attending a forum like this one. Thanks, Eda. Interesting though, George, I've noticed nobody here is talking about the food that we eat, and that's so key. Or is that a given that we're keeping healthy diets and exercising? Skills on coping mechanisms? Yes, Elizabeth.
You don't have a
That's it? Healthy dieting. Thanks, Paul.
As a coping mechanism. Okay.
Sorry?
Health dieting, yes. Finally, there's health dieting.
Yes, hobbies, creating time to unwind, being one another's keep, being appreciated, motivated, timely payment. I saw totally family support. Wonderful. Gym.
Gym, yes.
Yeah, time to rest and restore. That's avoiding prayer. Oh, not sorry, avoiding alcohol and drugs. Then there's somebody said prayer, team building. Wonderful. Constructive feedback. I think that's really important. Keeping work time. Meditation, great. Work-life balance, Dorothy.
Okay.
Social interactions, socializing. You guys are boundaries, Esther. That is so important. Boundaries. George, what are boundaries?
I think, yes, knowing what you are supposed to do, and even having the ability to say, this is what I can do.
Yes.
Yes.
Having the ability to?
Ability to say no, even sometimes. I cannot do that, or I am not competent in doing that.
Yes. Or I'm not able to do that now because I'm handling so much.
Exactly.
Or can I do that? Can I do that tomorrow?
Exactly.
Yeah, knowing your limits, Stephen. Yes. Assured access to healthcare. Wonderful. Yes. Seeing a therapist. Important. Putting family first. Yes. Great. So these are a number of protective factors that we can use as part of our mental wellness toolbox. Mindfulness. George, what is mindfulness? Leaders learning how to appreciate different personalities. That is so key, Mary. George, what is mindfulness in a nutshell?
It's having a balanced mind and not overwhelming yourself with issues. Able to balance issues, yes.
Yes. Respecting our uniqueness. Yeah, thank you. Mindfulness is being present, being present 100% in any given moment. Like now, we are in this webinar. I'm giving the talk. My mind, my body, my soul, we are here. I'm here. I'm not thinking about what we're going to eat for supper. Dear family, thank you for allowing me to give the webinar. And George, thank you for supporting me. So, yes, and not clouding your mind with too many things, because even if you have 10 things running on at your mind, you can only execute one at a time, or perhaps two maximum, isn't it?
Exactly,
Halima
yes.
said something very important that's protective: praying and being patient because challenges come and go. Perspective, isn't it?
Exactly.
Wow. Meditation and exercise. Yes, I so agree, Wycliffe. Meditation and exercise, great. Now, we are talking about the factors that precipitate, predispose, and perpetuate mental health stress or distress and protect us. And people have really shared talking. Thanks, Lucy. So the other thing that I'd like us to just ask ourselves is our personality. You do realize that people have different personality types, huh? Yeah. Do you people know unfriendly work environment? Do you people know your personality types? Do you recognize different personality types in yourselves, in your family, in your colleagues? You do, yes. So somebody tell me, post for me some personality types. Let's see.
Okay.
Anger management here is also important for good mental health. Yes. Sanguines, yes. So sanguines are the outgoing, happy, go lucky ones. Yes, they're not so bothered by many things. They are happy generally. Life of the party. Intuitive, melancholic, choleric. Choleric are the directors. Life of the party. Sanguine. Okay, Martha says she's a sanguine. Cholerics, melancholic, ambivalent are those between an outgoing and ingoing, and outgoing and somebody who's very reserved, like an introvert. They are phlegmatics, the cool guys, narcissistic, people who only think of themselves. Phlegmatic, hey, those ones, they're not moved much by things. I mean, they are the cool, calm, steady type A, B, and C. Thanks, Kezia. This sounds interesting. Has somebody mentioned there was introvert? Yes. There's introvert, extrovert, there's sanguine, phlegmatics, cholerics, and schizoid, yeah, which would be tending towards really keeping to themselves and having a personality that is detached from people. Extrovert, yes, borderline personality where they tend to swing, have extremes of moods. Obed, weirdos is not a personality type. That's interesting. Vincent, paranoid. Yeah, the people are they're afraid of, they're afraid people are out to get them, even if they're not. Cool Blue. Hey, you guys. Fine.
Good.
So realizing that everybody is different, and then trying to cope with realizing that each personality type have their strengths and their weaknesses, and also practicing emotional intelligence in terms of being aware of your own emotions, the emotions of others, and seeing how you can manage your emotions and the emotions of others to achieve common goals. So the other thing that impacts our mental health is our age range. We do know that there are those of us, like, for example, my good self who are BC, were born before computers. Were we? Yes, we were. And there are those who were born with an iPad in their hand in labor ward. Okay. And the way the different generations see and interpret life is different, but each generation has their strengths and weaknesses and the lens in which they view life, and that can bring conflict at the workplace. But I think it's important for us to respect one another and to see that everybody is making a valuable contribution. That will help you to be peaceful and to be mentally well. Now, the other thing, of course, that also impacts us is the places that we work. People have talked about our perceptions of things, the seasons of life that we are going through, the circumstances that we might be going through, especially relationships and family circumstances. So last year we had a talk on toxic relationships, and I think it would be nice for us to repeat it again this year so that we can remind ourselves what are healthy relationships and what are unhealthy relationships. Great. Joseph is looking forward to the emotional intelligence webinar. George, that will be you doing that one, and I'll be the moderator. So thank you. Let's go on to the next. Thank you for your contribution. That's awesome. Let's go on to the next slide. So we've looked at some factors that predispose us to and protect us from mental health distress. Now, one of the most commonly missed mental health disorders is depression. How can you tell that somebody is depressed? These are signs or symptoms of depression. If somebody has 5 or more of these signs, or in the last 2 weeks, that is, they have been sad, a persistent low mood, anxious or empty mood, changes in the appetite, whether it is reduced appetite or weight loss or increased appetite and weight gain, persistent physical symptoms that don't respond to treatment, that is depressed mood, and low energy, thoughts of suicide or death, thoughts of killing themselves, energy, low energy, that is fatigue or loss of energy that cannot be explained. As in, you wake up in the morning, you're already tired and you've not done anything. Or in terms of sleep, when you are sleeping too little, or early morning awakening, or sleeping too much, you find it so difficult to get out of bed. Loss of interest in social activities that you used to enjoy, social isolation. We also loss of interest is also called anhedonia. And irritability, where you are restless, you are easily angered and irritated, perhaps by sound or by people around you. And also difficulty in concentrating, remembering or making decisions, feeling guilty, hopeless or worthless. If you have any of these 10 symptoms, if you have 5 or more of these 10 symptoms for more than 2 weeks, and they're not because you lost a significant person in your life or lost something significant, or it's not due to a general medical condition, then you are depressed. And you are clinically depressed and you need treatment. Depression is not a moral weakness. It is an illness with a biological basis, just like hypertension or diabetes. Let's continue.
Priscilla is raising her hand. I don't know whether she has a question or clarification. She can put it in as a question. Priscilla Otieno.
Maybe she can write in the box and you take a note of it.
Yeah.
Then can we take note of it and we'll address it during the Q&A at the end of the presentation?
Exactly.
Thank you, George. Kindly take note of that for me. Thanks, Krishna. So now, sometimes people with depression might not look as if they are depressed, because the picture that we have in our mind of somebody who has depression is low energy, low sad mood, decreased functioning, but there are different states of functioning. When somebody has high functioning depression, they're able to go to work and fulfill their responsibilities, but inside they're still feeling sad, tired, and they lack joy. That is when, and people who have high functioning depression oftentimes are misunderstood by their colleagues who think that they are pretending. They are not pretending. You just don't know what they're feeling inside, but they are trying and they're functioning at their best. If the depression is worse, then you find like you're treading water. You can still fulfill some obligations, but you find it very challenging and you're easily drained and tired much more easily. And for somebody who's overtly depressed, look at the red face. They are drowning. They're struggling to do the simple things of life, such as waking up in the morning, such as getting out of bed, such as brushing their teeth, combing their hair, taking breakfast, coming to work. And that will show up as they are coming to work late, they are missing deadlines, they are canceling social obligations. You might find that you're supposed to do something as a team and last minute they say they cannot make it. And that is because of what they are feeling inside, because of the neurochemical imbalance that they have. The good news is that depression, anxiety, and other mental health disorders are common and treatable, and you don't need to suffer in silence. If you're on this webinar and you're feeling suicidal or you're feeling that you want to end your life, please reach out to a loved one or to somebody around you so that you can get care. That is a depression talking to you, and you can get better with treatment and support. The other thing is we want to ask ourselves is, if you see a colleague who is behaving in ways that are not kawaida, that are not normal, as in somebody, maybe they're introverted, now they've started to become very extroverted, or, there's somebody who always used to be there for the clinics and now they're not coming, or, you have a chama or you have a meeting that you're supposed to be attending, and they suddenly drop out of the picture, they suddenly left all their groups. Please check on one another and ask people, how are you today? Are you okay? And it's okay not to be okay. True or false, George?
Very true, very true. And even Gerard was saying that you repeat the signs, but you've already done that. Signs of depression, you want to know more about it, but you've already done that.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go on to the next slide. Thank you. I've talked about signs. Yeah, it's okay not to be okay. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, so the other common signs of anxiety that might be missed in yourself or in somebody around you is somebody who's who has an anxiety disorder, okay, first, let me go back one step. It is normal to get anxious. For example, before I started this presentation, I was anxious. I was like, how will the presentation go? Will anyone come other than George? And now we have 622 people. Amazing. Okay. And so anxiety is a normal response to a new event or something that you might need to put in extra effort. And it is that anxiety goes away after time. It is time bound, it is specific, it goes away after a while. Now, anxiety becomes a disorder when it is all the time, it is overwhelming, you're feeling anxious all the time, you feel overwhelmed, you are tired all the time, your heart is beating like when you first met your one true love. And they'll just call, George is smiling. George, yeah, I can see you smiling. I came to your wedding. Congratulations again. And you're looking at, so-and-so, we both know who she is, Mrs. George, and you should have seen his smile on his wedding day. Anyway, that's a story for another day, But if you're having palpitations every day, all the time, something is wrong, okay? We talked about signs of depression, missing meetings, being late for work, coming to work drunk. By the way, as we talk about mental health and wellness, let's ask ourselves, I hope you know at which point, if one of the ways in which you relax is taking alcohol, I hope you know that if you start spending more time taking alcohol than socializing or spending time with your family and working, there's something wrong. If you feel that you need to cut down, you get angry when people talk about your alcohol use, it makes you feel guilty that you're spending too much resources on alcohol. And when you wake up in the morning, you have to take a tot or a glass or two of alcohol or wine in order to function, it means that you have now become dependent and you need to look for help so that you are able to function better and take better care of your body and your brain. Many people who have addictions often have a comorbidity of anxiety or depression, and therefore they self-medicate by taking alcohol. And sometimes they now reach a point where the alcohol or other psychoactive substances have reached a point where they cannot function without these substances, and therefore they need to take them all the time. So when you see a colleague or even yourself, when you see yourself engaging in unhealthy behaviors, then you need to ask yourself, where am I at? Am I self-aware? Do I need to see someone? And if how to work at psychiatrists, when two psychiatrists meet, they don't ask, how are you? They say, George, you're good. How am I doing? They evaluate one another on the spot. So it's good for us to let us be our brother's keepers, as somebody put on the slider. The other things that might be associated with depression and anxiety at work might be somebody handing in assignment late, increased irritability, a lot of conflict with team members. And then also other signs of anxiety might be somebody is so tense all the time, and you find that they end up with also physical symptoms, okay? They might find out that they end up with irritable bowel syndrome. They might have frequent diarrhea, frequent constipation, okay? And anxiety might also show up as staying up late at work because you really want to do a very, very perfect job, to the extent that you're working over the same assignment 10 times. When everybody went back home at 5, you're still there at 8:30. Okay, I'm not saying that we cannot stretch the hours, but it's important for us to have work-life balance. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. I think Yoro was talking about how there is a neurochemical imbalance in anxiety and depression. That is true, and that's one of the takeaways from this webinar is to remind us that mental health disorders have a biological basis. Mental health disorders are affected because of neurochemical imbalances, which are impacted by the environment in which you grew up, the adverse childhood experiences, they're impacted by the things we've gone through, or even our parents have gone through, which rewired their brain, which predispose us to certain ways of coping that are healthy or unhealthy in families. It's also our personality and also the way we view life and the coping skills and tools that we have for navigating difficult circumstances. So these are common signs of anxiety and depression. And at the end of this webinar, by the way, there'll be a self-scan. There'll be a code that we'll put up, borrowed from Chiromo Hospital, where you can do a quick mental wellness exam, and from there it then guides you on how well you're doing for yourself in terms of anxiety, depression, burnout, and I think 1 or 2 other mental health wellness checkup. Yeah, great. Somebody's saying, yeah, they saw these signs in themselves a month ago. Yeah, I think it would be important for you to do the self, to reach out for help. There is no shame in reaching out for help. It's not only physical diseases that are diseases, and people do not apply to be unwell. Let's go on, please. Nelson? Great. So now that we've talked about common signs of, mental health, especially common signs of anxiety and depression, which are some of the most common things that people go through, let's brainstorm a bit about what makes us feel wow about our jobs and what makes us feel whoa about our yes, this recording is being shared. What makes us feel oh no about our workplace? What makes us feel unhappy about our job? And choose one way you're going to respond to what makes you feel bad or unhappy, whether you're going to accept it, adapt, alter, or avoid. Okay, so they say craziness is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So this is new year, new you. Tell your neighbor, new year, new you. New year, new you. Fine, I've told my neighbors, great. So let's share brainstorming. What's one thing about your work that makes you feel wow? Tell us, share with us, please. When all eyes on you. Thanks, Mahmoud. Something that makes bossing your own makes you feel wow. As in wow, good.
Yeah, the other opposite, the opposite of wow.
Good pay, positive results, Walter, thanks, yes. Something that makes you feel happy about your job. End month, yay, Justice, I agree. Space, Elizabeth, Anything else you can see, George?
Space, hardworking team, when they're in a hardworking team, when they're appreciated, when they're
good communication,
Good communication, yes, fun and excited work colleagues. Right.
Somebody talked about successful procedure, patient improvement, teamwork.
When they have a study leave, teamwork. Okay.
When
good
my clients appreciate you. Satisfaction, helping others, good stipend, appreciation from bosses. Yay, Friday evening. Yeah, thanks, Violet, namesake, promotion. Oh, making a correct diagnosis, knowing the patient was helped. Thanks, Priscilla. Professionalism, no gossip, lunch and tea offers. Janet, I'm with you. Support from team leaders. Thanks, Susan. Great. So those are some good things. Let's continue practicing those good things. Amazing. Overtime. Kitetu. Thanks, Daktari. My goodness. Wonderful. Good patient outcomes. Thanks, Lucy. Wonderful. So those are some things that make us feel wow about it. A good meal. Dr. Rocco. Wonderful. Yes. Those are some things. Getting a baby named after me. Majabuz. Good collaboration. Wow, awesome. So those are things that make us feel wow about our job. Okay, let's flip the coin on the other side. What are things about your job that make you just feel, oh no, I don't want to go to work?
Toxic colleagues at work.
Losing a patient. George, read those for us, please.
Yes, Moses saying losing a patient, too many deaths, losing a patient, toxic bosses, changing goals, negative discrimination, mortality rate, longer working hours, proud bosses, being unappreciated by the boss, burnout, poor working praise, that is Vincent, good salary deduction, and this month we are getting another one. I believe that yes, threat from bosses, toxic work environment, toxic colleagues, nagging bosses, conflict of interest by staff, deadlines, understanding bosses, favoritism.
I've also seen abrupt transfers.
Threat from bosses, lack of motivation. I wish HR people are here, they could get all this because much of it is about to do with HR and
Salary
workplaces.
delays, yeah.
Yeah, bad email, mortality rate, toxic environment, minimal resources, nagging bosses, deadlines, disagreement, abrupt transfers, lack of enough salary, transfer from one patient to another, missing tea. Oh yeah. Bad
That's a
attitude.
basic.
Lazy colleagues, working with a bully senior, being unappreciated, salary delays, staff shortage, deployment, gossip, poor teamwork, quite a number. Yes, there are so many of them.
There are so many. Thank you for sharing. Tribalism. Okay. Threats, moody supervisors. Maybe the supervisors need to come and see George and I. Jealous colleagues. Yeah, everybody, progresses in different ways, and not everybody. Promotion without merit. Okay, intimidation, lack of resources to accomplish duties. Yeah, and not feeling unappreciated. Nepotism, bosses bossing us around. Crazy caretakers. Oh, interesting. Robert, harassment. By the way, sexual harassment should also be here because also experience. Yeah, it happens, and we need to speak up and speak out. So thank you so much. Thank you, Bias Promotions. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Intimidation. Thank you, everybody. You have shared about what makes you celebrate your job and what makes you unhappy about your job. Now you have the tools within you to respond to the work, whatever makes you unhappy at work, whatever distresses you. Working with non-performers, yes. Not all team members are created equal or want to put in equal effort or are able to put in equal effort. Sometimes it's the ability. So you need to choose for yourself. You don't need to put it on the chat. One way that you're going to respond to something that is really distressing you at work so that you can remain mentally healthy. Are you going to accept it? Are you going to adapt it and perhaps ignore it? Are you going to alter your response to it? Are you going to avoid it? Okay. Are you going to adjust your expectations? So Carol says avoidance, it's okay. Thank you. So that is some personal homework for you to do. By the way, you're going to get this presentation. If you put in your email, you will get the presentation. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you for staying with us. So adapt, thanks, Justa. So we are seeing that we have this good times and not so good times in our practices wherever we're working. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Please put in your email so that we can send you the presentation. Now, Nelson, could we have the next slide, please? So work has got wows and woes. So what are some areas in which we can grow for us to experience better mental health? Yeah, this slide was linked to the one where there was the horses, where the younger workers, where their energy was lowest on Monday. They've been out partying the whole weekend. And then, it peaks on Friday, and perhaps the more senior ones, their energy peak is on Monday and goes down towards the end. Of course, this is a generalization, doesn't apply to everyone. Tasanteni, thank you for putting your emails. We will send you the presentation. So I would like you to ask yourself this question. Let's focus on what we can actually control. What can you do to make your job more fulfilling for yourself and others? Which of these things listed below do you need to get better at? Is it your attitude? Is it your skills? Is it to improve your emotional intelligence? Is it timekeeping? Is it finishing tasks? Is it teamwork? Or is it professionalism? They are not mutually exclusive. But each one of us, there's an area. Of course, there's also areas at which you're excelling. Give yourself a pat on the back for where you have excelled. And perhaps you can mentor somebody else in that particular area so that they're also good at it. Somebody on your team who you notice, hey, they're perhaps not so good at making presentations. Yeah, help them. Okay? They're having a problem finishing their tasks. So this new year, new you, what is one skill that you want to get better at? What is one skill that you can say, yes, I'm doing so well in this one, and you want to continue with it? Encourage yourself. You guys, you're doing well. Cindy or George?
Yes, definitely. Yes, yes. And important things that which you can be able to control, because you can work on them, improve on them, change,
Yes.
help with them, because it is within you. That would be the and even the takeaway after this presentation.
Yes. Things that are within your control. I've seen somebody has posted they are going to work on timekeeping, emotional intelligence. Somebody's going to be a better team player. Somebody's going to work at their attitude. William is still thinking. Yeah, let's go on. Let's go on. Yes, thank you. Timekeeping. Yeah, awesome. We all know where we need to improve, and we should also be aware on areas where we are doing well and give ourselves a pat on the back. Okay. And be generous with your compliments to your teammates. You are doing well, George. You know, Vio, you're doing well. You know, Nelson, you're doing well. Wenda, you're doing well. You know, let's go on. Joyce, you're doing well. Self-care, physical exercise. So just so that you know that we're not talking hocus pocus, I'd like you to know. Thank you, Nelson. Let's go to the next slide. In the year 2019, we did a study with Dr. Shaknur, he's now a medical doctor, but he was a medical student, to look at common factors that impact depression among residents at the University of Nairobi. And we did find that about of the 333 SHOs that we interviewed from 8 specialties, most residents, 61.6%, reported moderate stress that were associated with work-life issues, especially the female, most likely because women tend to do a double job. I'm not saying this is true for everybody, but for most women, you are the doctor during the day, and during the evening, they still have to help children with homework and other things. I know that men also participate in child caring and home activities nowadays, but from that study that we did, work-life issues was a major stressor, and people who are cautious about talking about their mental health. Later on, we're going to talk about some barriers to seeking care. They felt they needed more mentorship. They wish they had access to more empathetic seniors, and money was an issue. They wish the SHO programs were paid. Let's go on to the next slide. So this reconfirmed to us that doctors are distressed, and it was a study among doctors, because especially doctors in the healthcare field have poor health-seeking behavior. But all of us need to be able to reach out, whichever job you do in the hospital or in the health fraternity, to remember to take good care of ourselves, so that we can be, so that you're not missed in your team. You're an important part of your team. Let's go to the next slide. Nelson? Yeah, so this slide just talks about the most common mental health disorders so this partners, by the way, at the Department of Mental Health, in collaboration with the University of Nairobi and Chiromo Hospital Group, thank you, Dr. Fang Chenga, to partner in offering mental health support to doctors and medical students. And of this, the most common disorders that we have dealt with is anxiety, 20 cases, 6 had severe major depressive disorder, 1 attempted suicide. Thank God they did not complete the suicide. Anxiety was pretty common, 17 cases linked with fear of failing exam, panic attacks, irritable bowel syndrome. A number had ADHD, adult, what is it called? Attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Most likely attention deficit disorder with generalized anxiety disorder, bipolar 2 disorder, loss and grief, loss of parents, loss of loved ones, loss of relationships, navigating rocky relationships, navigating work-life balance, study a social life balance. And also there is one student who had been assaulted by somebody senior to her. And we are saying that no to gender-based violence or any form of violence against anyone. Let's continue. I think we have just about 10 minutes to go. So this is just a slide that shows, from February 2019 to 2020, we had seen 28 clients. As of August 2023, we had seen about 35. And by the end of the year, I think we reached about 50. Yeah, let's go on. Okay. And I'm happy to say that, the students and doctors that we have been working with, a number of them have graduated, they completed their undergraduate, they've completed their internship, they are now working and they are in the community, and we are continuing to support them in their well-being. Now, care for caregivers. These are some takeaway questions. As we near the end of this presentation, I'd like us to look at some of these questions and take note of them. Ask yourself, are you taking good care of yourself? You know, you can't pour from an empty cup. Huh? I've talked about the fact that mental health, your mental health is affected by your biology, your genes, you know, who your ancestors were. And also, nowadays, science has shown that this, you know, the environments in which we are, even the foods that we eat, the things that we expose ourselves to can turn on and off certain genes that predispose you to disease. And therefore, you do know that, for example, in families where they have a gene that predisposes them to depression, the women most likely present as cases of depression, and the men tend to be alcoholic or addicted to psychoactive substances. Remember that how you perceive life and how the experiences you've gone through will shape your mindset. And that's always something that we can work on. Your social environment, your relationships with others will also impact how well you are mentally, physically, socially, spiritually, and also your self-image. You know, I was supposed to get a picture of a cat looking into a mirror and seeing a lion. Imagine that cat. Just I have 2 kittens. So imagine that cat is looking to the mirror and is seeing a lion. See, that would be a very bold cat. And then, of course, remembering that not everything depends on you. Belief in God or a higher being and knowing that God is so important for your mental well-being. Otherwise, you might totally overstretch yourself and end out on the burnout, you know, very high on that burnout scale. And that is not good for yourself. It's not good for your family. It's not good for your loved ones. It's not good for your well-being. So let's be one another's keepers and take care of one another. We are almost nearing the end of this presentation. There are a number of slides that we'll skip over. Nelson. So we question, are you taking good care of yourself? So let's reevaluate our lives. How many hours are you sleeping at night? People, are you getting adequate sleep? Do you know that for you to remain mentally healthy, you need at least 6 to 7 hours, unless you're one of those people who sleep for 4 hours from the time they became adults and they're okay. People, are you getting enough sleep? Yes or no? Let's have some responses. We're almost done. Evelyn says no, she doesn't think so. Joy says yes. Yes, I have some yeses. Relatively no, yes, it depends on my day. Yeah, it's not set in concrete, but please try and, I was reading an article that said that for you to one of the keys to good mental health and longevity, healthy aging, is going to sleep at the same time, roughly the same time, and waking up roughly the same time. And getting at least, 6 to 7 hours of sleep. It's important. 6 hours adequate for you. Thanks, Zablon. Great. So are you able to handle stressful situations well? Question to self. We've talked about sleep. Now, are you handling your stressful situations well? Do you have good social support? Or you need to work on, strengthening some relationships here and there? How do you feel about your job when you wake up? Is it like, oh, yes, it's another wonderful day today, or, oh, no, not another day of work? So when is the last time you had a physical checkup? Your physical wellness impacts your mental health, people. People, dear colleagues, when is the last time you had a physical wellness checkup? Can you please schedule one within the next 1 month? So that by the next time we meet, you'll tell us you have gone for one, and encourage your family to also go. Do you have time for yourself? Some me time. Do you have time for family? Well done, Evelyn. Time for hobbies. Are you enjoying your money? By the way, are you enjoying your money? George, are you enjoying your money?
Currently.
Okay, what's left of your money? I mean, let's be realistic. Whatever is left, yes. We are all in the same boat.
Exactly, yes. I try to enjoy the one that, the small part that is left.
The one that is left, yes.
Yes. And being thankful that,
Yes.
yes, I have something.
That you have something left, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so Janet is saying, what? It's all budgeted. Put some boundaries. Okay, fine. Okay, great. Yeah, so this is a wellness checkup. Let's go on. Thank you. We are almost done. Nelson, we'll skip a few slides.
Patience is currently paying the taxes.
She's paying taxes. Her money is
Yes.
mainly going to, yes, so are we, and we pray that that will settle soon. So what are some major concerns or barriers to care? Stigma, feeling that you're different, fear that you'll be seen as incompetent. Oh, thanks, Jane, for saying you're enjoying your money. Fear of failing exams, culture of silence among medics. Dear medics, dear healthcare workers, it's okay not to be okay. Lack of social chill out spaces, fear of disappointing parents and the community, you've never failed before, loss of successful identity, taxes, Germany, we are with you, Josephine, loss of, patience first, self-care last, lack of peer senior support. If you collapse at work, you know that we will be very sorry that you left the group and the hospital will continue running. I'm not saying abdicate your duties, but I'm just saying, let us practice work-life balance. Let's go on to the next slide. So yeah, you see, we're with you. Key concerns for healthcare workers: ever increasing taxation, scarce salary increments, job insecurity, unemployment, lack of guaranteed employment, remuneration. We need good salaries, good working conditions, deployment after internship, work-life balance, unsafe living and working environments, robberies, attacks on healthcare workers, need for humane mentorship, need for safe working places, mentally safe working places where you can say, I'm not okay, and it's okay. Okay? Bosses to be human. Yes, thanks, Emily. Okay? So these are key concerns, and look at them and find out what is within your power to be able to also impact others positively, so that people enjoy the time they're at work. You spend most of your day at work. You spend more hours at work than at home for most days. Okay? So that workplace needs to be a happy place for you and for you and for your colleagues. And if you're the one who is making life difficult for everybody, please reevaluate yourself. Reevaluate yourself. Let's go on, please. Most healthcare workers overworked and tired, noted, and that's about boundaries. So, we talked about how social determinants of health, when we address them, it promotes good public health and reduces health inequities and disparities. And you can read the slide. Let's go on to the next slide. So what are some keys to thriving and resilience? Okay. Self-awareness. What are your strengths and weaknesses? When you approach a situation, we talked about circle of control and circle of influence in mental health. Is it something within your control or it's outside your control? Must you respond to everything that is said to you? Work-life balance. There's a time to talk and there's a time to be silent, by the way. Yeah? There's a time to act and there's a time not to react. Work-life balance, being aware of your life season, cultivating gratitude, enforcing boundaries, and practicing self-compassion. It's okay to fail sometimes and to be imperfect. There are no perfect human beings. Gratitude. We are lucky to have jobs. It's okay resting, socializing, playing, laughing, weeping with those who weep. And weeping when you need to weep for yourself. Giving God your cares and concerns. Yeah. Changing the way you look at things so that you don't look at things just from the worst point scenario. We are not saying that we will not go through difficult times, but we can modify our responses to the difficult things that we go through. And also realize that life is full of difficult things. I suggest that you read the book, The Road Less Traveled by, I think, Dr. Scott Peck. Let's go on. So what are some keys to thriving and resilience? They are both within and they're outside, including managing stresses, building resilience in and out, teamwork, carving time out for yourself, your family, your friends, fun times, emotional intelligence, looking at what you eat, purposeful spirituality, forgiveness. There are times you need to forgive others and you need to forgive yourself, maintaining a hobby, doing things outside of yourself, volunteering in the community, cultivating gratitude, choosing your battles, scheduled rest and relaxation. It's okay not to be okay. Speak up and speak out if you need to. Yes.
Daktari, it's also good maybe to put some emphasis on forgiveness, letting go.
Yeah, please.
Sometimes,
talk about that, please.
Justified to have bitterness and anger.
Yes.
But in the process, it hurts us. Despite us feeling that we are justified to be angry with the person, it ends
Yes.
it ends us affecting us. So it's better for us to let go for your own sake.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, George. That's so important. Somebody said that when you harbor unforgiveness and resentment towards someone or towards something, it's like taking poison and hoping that the other person is going to die. It affects your health negatively. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that reminder that we need to, there are times that we need to let go. And actually, one of the things I wanted to put on this slide, thank you, George, you're a godsend, was let us keep short accounts with one another. You know, the Bible says, do not let the sun go down on your anger. When you have things that are festering in your heart, in your mind, that are unresolved, I'm not saying this, not everything that can be resolved in one day, but you can work towards trying as much as possible to resolve conflict, you know, to be aware of things that are impacting you negatively, and even the ones that are impacting you positively, and cultivating gratitude. That's actually one thing that has also been shown to really, really enhance people's mental health. Nelson, let's see the next slide. The one or two that I'll ask you to skip. What's the next slide? Okay, signs that you need a break. If you find that the concentration has decreased, you can't sleep well, you feel depleted of energy, you feel you're doing your best, but it's not enough, you feel on edge, or you start seeing everything negatively, or you've turned to unhealthy outlets for comfort or unhealthy coping mechanisms such as excessive use of alcohol, or, you know, excessive sex and, you know, with multiple partners, or other ways, you know, taking out your anger on family and friends, then you need a break and you most likely need help. Let's go to the next slide. So what are healthy and unhealthy coping skills? Unhealthy coping strategies often provide instant gratification or relief, like food, like sex, like excessive use of, you know, maybe some psychoactive substance, but they have long-term Abram is talking about how many times does one need to forgive one who is chronically unresponsive at the workplace. George will address that. In contrast, healthy coping strategies don't always feel good in the moment, but they contribute to long-lasting positive outcomes, such as, you know, dealing with the conflict as they arise, okay? Taking action to deal with stressors, problems, or uncomfortable emotions. I put there a link that would be helpful. Okay, there's also a slide there towards the end about healthy coping strategies. And we say that unhealthy coping strategies often, they feel good at the moment, but they have long-term negative consequences. Let's say if you're comfort eating, you'll end up being overweight, okay? You're not exercising, you may end up being overweight, okay? Okay, let's go on. So what are some healthy coping mechanisms, coping skills? Next slide, please, Nelson. Great, read a book, listen to music, puzzle, go for a walk. Be creative, art and drawing, clean, deep breathing, enjoy nature, spend time with a pet, gardening, journaling, self-affirmation, go out with friends, spend time with your spouse, with your children, get enough rest, take a break, practice gratitude, meditate, do something good for someone else. Let's go on. As we wind up, these are some mental wellness tools and practices that we'd like you to pick up. Gratitude journaling. There's something on the internet called 3 Good Things Gratitude Journal. Take note of that. It can help you. Mindfulness, we talked about it. Regular exercise. Doing a no sugar, no gluten challenge. Drinking water, physical exercise, socializing. Keeping your brain active. Healthy eating. Minimizing processed foods. Giving back and cultivating spirituality. And practicing self-compassion. Saying that it's okay that sometimes you'll not always meet your goals. And it's okay to take a break. And it's okay to be imperfect. And you're wonderful the way you are. As we wind up, Nelson, what else do we have? The Serenity Prayer. A reminder, this is a very important thing. God grants us the serenity to accept things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and wisdom to know the difference. You might want to put up somewhere on your wall, huh? And the last slide, Nelson. Nelson, the next slide. Nelson?
Yes, Dr. I can hear you. Apologies. I thought I was.
Actually, this is like the second last slide. The next slide, actually, what it has, it's a code that you can scan to do your own mental wellness. Or
Should I move to the next slide?
I told you, we already do a doctor care program, which I run, and George is also involved. You can reach out to us.
Right.
Now, if you want to do your own quick mental health wellness checkup, thank you to Romo Lane Medical Center. You can scan this code, and it's also going to be put on the chat, okay, by Nelson. Last but not least, if you scan this code, by the way, you can get to, you'll be able to get to resources that can give you your own quick mental wellness checkup. It is part of the presentation, you will get it. Last but not least, as we wind up, first, I want to tell everybody, thank you. Nelson, please show us the very last slide. This is how I'm hoping we're going to be the rest of the year, as we support one another, as we work together to build a legacy of life, okay? So this is how I'm hoping we're going to be seeing ourselves and actually experiencing these wonderful emotions that these people are experiencing, and supporting one another on those days and seasons when we are not functioning or do not have the energy, or you're going through something really difficult that you need support from your colleagues and friends. Let us build a legacy of life. We are all team members, and each one of us is a wonderful shujaa in the healthcare field. Asanteni.
Asante, asante, Dr. Okech Makofi. We really thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Great presentation. People have really enjoyed. And thank you even for giving us that insight and making it very interactive. Very interactive.
Asante.
Yes. So everybody who has taken time to join us, we are very grateful, thankful. Where can they get you, Dr. Okech?
I'm at Kenyatta National Hospital. I work at the Department of Mental Health. Presentation has my phone number, but in case you want to reach out on WhatsApp, my phone number is 0789-821004. If you go to the very first page, Nelson, and the very first slide, it has my details on it. Okay? Here's my phone number, 0789-821004. Thank you, Asanteni. I'm so glad you enjoyed the presentation, and thank you for staying on. Awesome. You are so welcome. And thanks, George. You have been so supportive. Somebody saying, Oridom, no, thank you. Asanteni for making time. Please take good care of yourselves. Yes. Wonderful, and George and I work together. What we didn't say is that George is the Chief of Psychology at the Department of Mental Health, Kenyatta National Hospital, and we work together. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Susan. Thank you.
Yes. Very
Asanteni. I think we just have about like the last 5 minutes, 5 to 10, 5 minutes or so. Any urgent question from anyone that you like George or I to address? We just have 5 minutes to go.
Someone had asked, how many times should I forgive? How many times should I forgive? May I use the analogy?
Thanks,
Yes, probably I would ask the person, how many times should you drink the poison so that your enemy can die? Yes, every time you don't forgive it.
You're drinking poison.
Yes, how many times should you drink poison for your enemy to die?
So, George, what I'm hearing you saying is that we need to forgive every time.
Definitely, that's what I'm saying. Because it's not about the person who has wronged you, it's about you. The forgiveness here is not about
the person. It's about your response, isn't it?
Exactly, for your wellness. Yes, it's about your wellness. If you care about your wellness, then you have to forgive. No matter if you feel justified to hold the anger and the bitterness, for your own sake, you do that. Yes.
Okay. So you forgive for your own sake. And by the way, if you are in a position, in a relationship that is toxic, that is harming you, it's important for you to reach out for support and also to explore what your options are.
Exactly.
So that you do not die in silence.
And again, when we talk about forgiveness, it doesn't mean you are justifying what the person did to you. Neither are you not taking other actions. If someone has wronged you and it is something that needs legal address, you should continue with the legal address, but you have already forgiven in your heart. So we are not saying that forgiveness does not prevent you from taking any other action. You can still take other action, but already in your heart, you have forgiven the person.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. That is so helpful, George. I've seen this a lady here who's asking, how can one improve one emotional intelligence?
Yeah. Maybe I think there are trainings, short trainings on emotional intelligence, which they can join
Yes.
online. Yes.
Yes, that's very true. And then somebody is asking, thank you very much. They're online, and then you can also there's a reliable YouTube videos by something called a group called Psych2Go that are helpful. You might be able to find that you should be able to find that on YouTube and on the internet, and there are also short trainings. By the way, George, what is your number? Somebody, Faith, thank you, Faith Mwadime. Read Dr. Daniel Goldman's Emotional Intelligence. George, what is your phone number in case somebody wants to reach out to you?
Okay, yeah, it's my number is 0721
0721
double four
38
37.
Please repeat that again.
0721 44 3867. Yes,
Thank
they can
you very
reach me.
much.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Somebody was asking whether there is a helpline for mental health. There are a number of helplines, I believe, set up by Kenya Medical Associations, Kenya Association of Counselors. If you do that scan on the code that is there at the end of this presentation, you will find that there's also there are helplines there that you can reach out to. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending. George, you have been such a wonderful moderator. Nelson, you have done an awesome job.
Thank you. Thank you. You're
awesome job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for the.
Thank you. Asanteni, everybody, for attending. See you next time. Thank you for attending. Thank you for sharing our emails. Thank you, James, for affirming that mental health is interesting. And we look forward to emailing you the presentations. Thank you. Thank you, Pauline. Thank you. Thank you. Asanteni sana.
Karibuni sana.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Have a good evening, everyone. Nelson and George, I'll ask you to please stay on even as the others leave. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye. Good night, everyone. Good night.
We really appreciate everyone for that.
Yeah.